What is up, my nerds? Welcome to another reading vlog. Guys, it is my Friday today, which actually means that it's Thursday. I took Friday off because I freaking wanted to. That's why. Honestly, I just was needing a mental health day away from work, and I have some really big motherfreaking plans for this weekend, namely tomorrow, Friday. I have ordered a bunch of stuff and I have put up new bookshelves, and we're gonna build me a little library room. So I'm really freaking excited about that. But first things first, let me talk to you about what I'm reading this weekend. So I have a lot of books that I'll get into a little later, but first and foremost, Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. It's a long title. It's by Grady Hendrix. It's a horror novel, and he's famous for his horror novels, and this is exactly what it sounds like it's about. A book club in the South, and someone is slaying vampires. I am a little under halfway with it, and it is fan-frickin-tastic. It is moving so fast. I'm so in love with it. Guys, what am I doing? Why haven't I been reading more horror in my life? It's so great. One thing that I really love about it is that it just moves really fast, and it's really witty and funny, but it is actually scary. So that's really interesting. Sometimes I'm skeptical about the scares in horror books. I don't know, but this one is doing it for me. So right now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna eat dinner. I just picked up some Chipotle. We're probably gonna watch a little TV, and then it'll be a full night of reading in preparation for tomorrow, which will be a full day of arranging my new library room. Heck yeah. I have acquired the goods. My Chipotle order, same as always, sofritas with guacamole, brown rice, and all the beans and all the salsa. Gonna be tasty. Hello. Guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to order some more books. Let's do that. Oh yeah. Well, we just gotta. Am I operating under a shadow of guilt after all the books I just ordered? Yes. Yes, I do feel like a trash person right now, but a very literate trash person. And you guys will reap the benefits, or at least the aesthetic benefits, once you see my finished library. But for now, while I swallow my buyer's remorse, I'm gonna go read some scary shit. So, I forgot to mention, or maybe I did mention earlier, that I'm actually almost halfway through this book. Did I start the reading rush a little early this weekend? Absolutely. Is it not even the weekend because it's actually Thursday? Yes, because I'm a terrible booktuber and I'm a slow reader. But I am about halfway through Southern Book Club's Guide to Vampire Slaying, or Slaying Vampires. It's such a long title. I'm gonna mess it up the whole time. Anyway, I'm halfway through, and we're getting to the part where like things are escalating. The main character, Patricia, is starting to realize that there are weird, nefarious things happening with this new person that's in town. Also, I should mention that this book is about slaying vampires in a book club, and the main character is in a book club. A new person moves into town. He's like this suave, like mysterious sort of guy, and you know, strange things just ensue. So now, like I said, she is, you know, starting to realize something is up with this dude, and she's trying to get the authorities involved because children are going missing. So she's getting a little frantic, and she tries to get her very pragmatic psychologist husband involved. And mind you, she's a stay-at-home mom in the 80s. So like all of this sort of leads up to the fact that people don't listen to her. Her family doesn't listen to her. Definitely her children, and no one listens to her. So when she goes to her husband to tell him what she's witnessed, these horrible things that she's witnessed, he doesn't believe her because, hello, classic horror movie trope. The husband never believes the wife. Now, if you're lucky and you're like me, you have a man who will absolutely move out of a house if you say there's a ghost in there. I would never say that lightly, but he would never take it lightly if I said it. So I just feel lucky. I just feel like I would never have to be in a crazy situation because a man didn't believe me. And that's the takeaway that I'm getting with this book. Anyway, back into it. Hello. So I need to take a quick break. I just passed the 300 page mark, which means that in a little under 3 hours, I've read 100 pages, which is pretty phenomenal for my reading speed. Usually it takes me a bit. But my boyfriend is laughing at me because I say this every time, but really I feel like I sped, the last time I talked to you, I was at page 188. I am now at page 301, and the pacing of Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. Is it slaying? Yeah, Slaying Vampires. I'll mess it up every single time. The pacing is excellent. I've only read Stephen King books, R.L. Stein books, and Christopher Pike books. So those are my main, you know, bits of horror that I've read. And honestly, none of them have the pacing and the banter. Like, there's so much like funny moments, but then there's such high stakes, high drama moments that Grady Hendrix brings to his story that I didn't realize I was missing this in a horror book. So honestly, prediction, this is gonna be a true 5-star read for me. Yeah, I have no words. Something happened. I'm not going to give away because I don't want to spoil anyone. But it actually put one of my worst nightmares, literally one of my worst nightmares, into words. And you know, it has to do with bugs. And it's the only like segment that has to do with bugs in the book. But I have such a thing about a certain type of bug that I almost couldn't finish reading the scene, which is excellent. Horror is supposed to be evocative. It's supposed to bring out emotions so in such a hyperbolic manner, and that's why it's such an interesting genre to me. It's real good. Good morning, friends. It is Friday. Like I said, today I have the day off. I took it off specifically to put together my library room. And I think it is officially time for the reading rush. Now, like I said earlier, I did get started early on my TBR list because I am a very slow reader compared to my other booktube comrades. But last night, I did finish the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix. And I will be bringing you a full book review on this in another video. This was a 5 out of 5-star book for me. The ending was freaking excellent. Just the relationships in this was excellent. The setting was excellent. I'll go into it more later, but if you are interested in horror or a fan of horror, this is a great place to be. 100%, so good. Now, today I've got a plan. Aside from putting together my library room, I'd like to read the rest of my TBR. And like I put in my video, I've got The Girl in the Tower by Catherine Arden. I've got No Longer Human by Junji Ito. And then I've got Bringing Down the Duke by Evie Dunmore. And then A Little Hatred by Joe Abercrombie. Now, in terms of priority, this is gonna take priority. A Little Hatred. My boyfriend is so sure that I am going to love this, and I think I will too. It is a bit of a different genre for me in terms of fantasy. It is more low fantasy in the sense that there's not that much magic, but it's high fantasy in the sense that it is a completely different world that he made up. So I'm really excited to get into it. I'll start that today. It's like 10 o'clock. I just woke up. I woke up at 6 because the animals were rustling everywhere, but I made myself go back to sleep and I really think I needed it. So I'm caffeinating. I've got some toast and we're gonna get into this day. Okay, so I wanted to talk to you really briefly. I did start A Little Hatred by Joe Abercrombie. I'm probably just about like, I don't know, a little less than 20 pages in. it's good so far. I will say the writing is very captivating. The pace is already fast, and the conversation, the banter is very good. So I'm excited. I think the writing style itself is going to definitely be my taste. So that's cool. I'm filming out here because my boyfriend's on a work meeting right now. So yeah. But I do have a lot that I want to get done today. Like I said, I have my library room to set up, but I also have a bunch of house chores, dishes, laundry, etc. So I'm probably going to start that. I did start on audiobook Tessa Dare's The Governess Game. So yes, it's like a Regency era sort of romance. I know, it's a big departure from the horror novel I just read and now this like high fantasy that I'm reading, but I do think it is very digestible in the sense that it's an audiobook. I can listen to it pretty passively while I'm doing stuff, and oops, dropped the book. And the banter is super funny, super good, and I have a feeling it's gonna get pretty steamy pretty quickly. So I'm gonna do some chores and then we're gonna get started on my library room. I'll show you the befores, but I will be making a completely different and like separate video for like the before and after with a bunch of like time lapses. It'll be a good time. Yeah, so let's get started. Okay, I have procrastinated enough. I don't know why I'm nervous about starting this room. That's why I took this library room. That's why I took this day off. But I did some dishes, helped my boyfriend clean up around, and cleared up a couple different like little piles around the house. You know, things just collect in piles at a certain point. But let me show you the befores of this room. Just look at this glorious mess. There's where all my seeds are, but I don't really have much growing right now. Pile of board games and the glorious books. So this is where I'm going to stop recording for the vlog and sort of pause on any footage here, and then I will post a separate video for, you know, the befores and afters of this room. Excited for how it's gonna look. Hi my loves. So I had to take a quick break. I can't even talk right. I was so hungry. So we had some lunch and I'm now gonna get back into fixing up this room. I did just want to let you know how my audiobook is going. The Governess, what is it called? I don't even know. The Governess Game by Tessa Dare. Just so good. It's like chef's kiss kind of good. The romance is great. It gets steamy pretty quickly on. The banter is fantastic. And the characters, the genuine emotion, hands down one of my favorite romances to date. I think the last time I read a romance was probably like Red, White, and Royal Blue, and that was fantastic for so many different reasons, but this is definitely my type of romance. It's Regency era. There's like historical fiction sort of vibes. I am loving it. But now we're gonna get back to fixing up this room. So it is like 4 o'clock. Oh my God, look how cute my cat is being right now. Is he not just the most precious little thing ever? Like, look how cute he is, just watching nature, probably plotting to murder things, but whatever, semantics. So I'm probably gonna take a quick break. I've been at this since like 11, maybe a little after 11. And you know, I have made progress, but I've not made that much progress. I've been taking it slow because after all, it is my day off and I'm gonna do what I want. But right now, I'm gonna chug some caffeine. This is a yerba mate, and if you're not familiar, this is an excellent alternative to coffee. Coffee, the acid of it sometimes messes with my stomach. I think we've got book mail. I just got book mail, sort of, and they gave me a free book. It's called Nat Enough. Oh, it's a graphic novel. That's cool. Oh, okay. I will have all of this in a haul later, but I just have a lot of books coming from them. Like you saw last night, I placed an enormous order and they just keep giving me free things, so I'm into it. Anyway, we're gonna walk the dogs and then I'll come back, rearrange my whole life in my library, and then we'll see where we're at maybe by midnight.
Hello, my loves. I'm gonna take off my glasses to eliminate the glare, but I have just mostly finished with my room. I have put all the books on the shelves. I'm not gonna show you because that'll be for the separate video, but I'm very tired, very hungry. I'm gonna eat my leftover Chipotle, and I'm gonna attempt to read tonight. I'll probably get through a couple pages, but mostly I just kind of want to veg. I just want to sit and hang out because I put in some work today. I started the whole room makeover at 11:30 a.m. this morning. It is now what, like 7? I don't know. It's been a long day. Maybe it's 8. It's really dark outside, and I still have like a corner of the room that I need to get together, and then I still have my art to hang up. It's gonna be an ongoing project, but it'll be really exciting once it's done. And even then, you know, I continually acquire books, so it may never actually be done, which is kind of really fun and exciting to think about. Anyway, I'm gonna go eat, and then we're gonna read a little, okay? Okay.
Good morning, my loves. It is Saturday, and it's a bit later. It's 9:35. I did wake up around 7, if I'm being honest. I was up like at 3. I didn't sleep very well last night. I drank caffeine a little too late in the day because I wanted to really plow through arranging my library room, and I got it mostly finished. There's just a couple other things that I need to get through with, but I did want to talk about A Little Hatred by Joe Abercrombie. So I am now past the 100-page mark. I'm making my way a little slower through it. I didn't get to read much after I finished with my room last night because I was just so tired, but it's interesting so far. So I will say that, you know, it is multi-perspective, and I'm still getting used to that, but I want to get used to it because most high fantasy is multi-perspective, and I really sort of want to cut my teeth on multi-perspective sort of things. So if I hadn't discussed what A Little Hatred is by Joe Abercrombie, it's hard to say, really. Like I said, it's multi-perspective, and it's basically about a world that is on the brink of industrial revolution. They had magic in the past, but now it's more about the upsurgence of technology, mostly sort of kind of like our real world industrial revolution, where machines, factories, mills, steel, iron, metal, stuff like that are just coming on the up and up. And there are all sorts of different characters in here that are dealing with that change. There are wars about to go on because, you know, land is being grabbed and progress is trying to really take over this land. And then there are people there that are in the middle of all of like the economic turnover, so a lot of people are making money, and then there are also, of course, the more impoverished characters, the ones that are downtrodden, are at the mills, at the factories, are losing their farms because people want to build more factories. And so that sort of sounds mundane, but it is actually really interesting how they put it all, how Joe Abercrombie puts it all together. And like I said previously, this is more of a low fantasy in this sense that it doesn't have a whole lot of magic, but it's a high fantasy in the sense that there's a lot going on, and it's a really complex world that Joe Abercrombie has built. I am going to pause and take a break because I'm very tired and I am a little brain dead this morning from not sleeping, and I think I'm going to watch a movie. So one of my favorite horror movie t-shirt companies, it's called Cavity Colors, is coming out with an Elvira shirt. And you know what? I watched so many weird, spooky things. Sorry, I'm looking at my phone. I'm trying to open it. I watched so many spooky things growing up that it's hard to say whether I actually watched Elvira, the movie. So I have the app Shudder. And I noticed that they actually have Elvira right there. So I'm going to take a break from reading and I am going to watch Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, and I'll let you know how that goes because I want to get the shirt from Cavity Colors and I don't want to be a poser about it. I want to have seen this movie. I feel like I've seen the movie, but I don't actually know. And if you don't have Shudder, I love this horror movie streaming service. If you're a big fan of horror movies like I am, it's a must-have. Now, I will say I don't use it as much as I use Netflix, Amazon Prime Video, even my HBO subscription, just because I really have to be in the mood for horror, which I usually am. But yeah, it's definitely a favorite service of mine when I'm ready to sort of marathon some really spooky stuff. So I'm gonna watch Elvira. Hi, I'm like 2 minutes into Elvira. Sure shit, I have not seen this movie, but it's everything. It's already everything. This is filling my spooky heart with joy. So I just finished watching Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. And guys, if you have not seen Elvira, you're missing out. I don't know what to tell you. I've been missing out. I cannot wait for that Cavity Colors design to drop. I'm definitely getting a pullover. That movie was everything I've ever wanted. It was witchy. It had spells. It had amazing like goth dream kind of dresses. I was so into it. It was so campy. It was like prime 1980s sort of like corniness and campiness. I loved every second of it. So the rest of the day is sort of open. I do have some videos I want to film. I've got some book reviews that I'd like to get out. And really the rest of the day is mine to write or to read. I haven't read much more of Joe Abercrombie's book. I might read a little bit more, then switch over to some Junji Ito. Remember at the beginning of this video, I said that I need to finish that. I do, and I'm feeling kind of like dark and spooky, so that might fill the need. Yeah. This little heathen always needs to be let out into the backyard. Right, Tiggy? Okay, there you go. Bye-bye. What are you doing, Ozzy? What are you doing, Ozzy? Good morning, my loves. It is Sunday. I am applying a face mask because I have 2 giant zits on my forehead that is just beginning to bother me. So we're gonna try and face mask this problem away. I did not get to read too much at all yesterday after I passed the 100 pages in A Little Hatred by Joe Abercrombie. So mostly because we decided to do a couple things around the house and we just got busy and I got tired and I read a little bit before bed, but that's really it. And right now in the book, we are hitting a point where like it's becoming clear the sort of social, economic, and political implications of the industrial revolution in this world that Joe Abercrombie has created. And to be honest, I'm struggling with the book a little, mostly because there's no magic and it mostly feels like a weird historical fiction. And I don't mind it. It's just not in my mood right now. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to take a break from it. I'm on page like 136, I think. Let's see. 139 actually. And this face mask smells really good. I'm on page 139. I'm making decent headway. I'm not inhaling it like I was with Grady Hendrix' The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires, but that was a special circumstance. I never read books that fast. So what I've decided is probably going to be a good idea is going to take a break from it and we'll start finishing the Junji Ito's No Longer Human. And so manga doesn't have page numbers, but I looked at it and I forgot that, you know, manga is read
right to left. So actually I'm not even at the halfway point. I'm near it, but I'm not quite there. So I've got quite a bit to go, but because it's manga, it should move pretty quickly. Wow, this mask is really thick. I'm kind of okay with it. Okay, that should be enough, right? I don't know why I've been breaking out so much. Maybe it's because there's a lot of snacks in the house since this quarantine. That and stress. Just washing the face mask off my fingers. But yeah, I'm gonna attempt to go ahead and finish this and then come back to A Little Hatred. And part of me knew this was gonna happen because this is all part of the reading rush, and I'm such a mood reader that creating a list for myself, a TBR list, doesn't work for me. Not a favorite thing. It actually makes me feel like I'm obligated to read these books and takes all the fun out of it. And I guess I have an authority complex because even I don't like being told what to do when it's myself. Also, if you hear some crazy racket, it's because my cat is playing in the bathtub again. Let me show you. What are you doing, Tig? What are you doing, Tig?
I got an ache inside of me. It's a deep hole where I bleed. Oh, can I seal it? You're like an ocean without land. Not a single grain of sand. I'm drifting on it. So cold yet warm. When you hold me, when you're close. I know I'm a lost case, I'm a mess. But everything feels.
I forgot to tell you, for those who don't know what No Longer Human is about by Junji Ito, this is actually, my face is so stiff from this face mask. It's actually a novel adaptation into a manga. So Junji Ito did all the art, but I believe the overall plot and storyline was done by another author. And so the main character's name is Yozo Oba, and he has sort of played the class clown. He's always like not taking things seriously when he was growing up, and now that he is older, from like teenage years to adult years, he sort of has this like he has this sort of cloud around him where death and tragedy sort of dog his every step, especially when it comes to any woman he sort of enters a relationship or a tryst with. Always something tragic ends up happening. It's very heavy, it's very dark, it's very disturbing, which is why I had to put it down for a while when I first got the book. It's very beautiful. Like, look at this. The art is gorgeous and disturbing. But yeah, we're gonna try and finish it today. So it does actually have pages. It looks like I left off on page 244, and there's so much more left. So let's get started. So I'm a little over 100 pages away from the ending of No Longer Human by Junji Ito. And I'm reminded as to why this story is kind of meh for me. The main character just sort of goes around drinking and womanizing, and it doesn't come off as womanizing at first. At first it seems like he just falls in love very easily. Honestly, he's kind of an asshole, and he's kind of a deadbeat. He just like wants to be an artist, a famous artist, and he doesn't prey on women, I think, consciously, but like he cheats magnificently. Like, he can find someone and be like, this is the person that I love and I am destined to be with them forever, and then like on a drunken night, or if he sees someone in like a certain light,
or time of day. He's just overwhelmed by romantic notions and then decides that they are now the person he's destined to be with. And then he continues his like cheating and alcohol binging, and I'm not a giant fan of this main character. What keeps me reading this story is A, I'm almost finished. B, the art is fantastic and there are some really dreadful moments. And honestly, I'd like to see him die. I just want him to die in a fiery blaze of death, or something so horrible actually happens to him that he turns on the right path. Because that's where it feels like it's going. I don't know. I don't know how this book is gonna end, but I hate him. I kinda hate him. So, that's where I'm at. What?
Are you saying that I should become a stripper?
Will it bring us more money?
I don't know.
So, someone has died. A lot of someone's die in this book. Honestly, there's a lot of freaking death. It's only been 2 pages since I like updated you. It's something more like 10 pages really, but someone has died and I'm resolute. This man is a dick, and I'm over it. I'm over him. He's a dick. Over and out. Do you want to see what we do if you live in the country? We burn shit. Hi, Max. Hi, Max. What are you doing? You pissed the stove? Roscoe, you got a stick? Don't choke yourself. Ross, what's this? What's this? So, back inside now. And guess what? Who's surprised? I don't want to read any of the books that I have on my TBR list for this reading rush. This is why I don't create TBRs. I don't know how all these booktubers do it with TBRs, because I never stick to a single TBR and I'm just over it. But here is a book on my TBR. Do I start it? Here's a problem. If I start a book when I'm not in the mood for it and I end up putting it down, I may never return to it because I'm an asshole, and that's how it is. So I'm afraid to start this and then hate it. Or I doubt I'm gonna hate it because I love the first book. This is the second book. This is the sequel to The Bear and the Nightingale. Let's start it. Let's start it and see how we feel. What am I doing with my life? Truly. Okay. Let's see how we feel, and if not, we can always pivot, or I can just go through the book as slowly as I want and not feel rushed, because currently, because we are in a reading rush, I'm feeling a little rushed. So I'm trying to do this out of pure enjoyment, but here I am amping myself up with anxiety, because that's what I do. That is what I do over meaningless, mundane things. Let's get reading.
I compare thee when no one ever could come close. Look around, but I can't see. That is usually just how it goes. Brought a new horizon, opened up our doors to something more. Spun me round and you shook me, got me tainted to the core. So tell me what to do.
So, I feel a little bit like a jerk. I've started The Girl in the Tower, and it is already 10 times more captivating than A Little Hatred by Joe Abercrombie. I feel bad because my boyfriend has been ranting and raving about how good that book is. I just need magic. Why? I am addicted to magic.
I need the high fantasy element in fantasy. And because Joe Abercrombie's A Little Hatred is more of a low fantasy, I'm struggling. I'm not struggling with this book, but I am struggling with that book. I'm gonna read more of this. I might go for a walk, honestly. I just had a nice little lunch and I feel like I could benefit from stretching my legs. But to be honest, I'm feeling this book more. Now, I can't remember if I already talked to you about this book. I'm sure I have, but it is the sequel to The Bear and the Nightingale. It is The Bear and the Nightingale is a dark Russian fairy tale set in medieval Russia. It is fantastic. And the moment I started this book, it just drops you right back into that setting, and it is phenomenal. I love Catherine Arden's writing. I can't resist it. I can't resist it. Hello, my loves. I'm gonna whisper, or at least I'm gonna talk a little more quiet because my boyfriend is sleeping outside. He's taking a little nap, but it is like almost 9 o'clock and I have not read a whole lot. I've been a very bad booktuber, truly. I just got caught up doing some photo sessions with some books, and then I got caught on Instagram just like surfing. I will say, oh, let me find it. I will say that even though I just started The Girl in the Tower, the sequel to The Bear and the Nightingale, I am loving it and is moving much faster than A Little Hatred by Joe Abercrombie. Now, my boyfriend did convince me that I should continue to read it even if it's just like 5 pages at a time, which I think I will. I think I will try to get through it, but I'm gonna prioritize other books first. So far the reading rush has been good. I've been reading a lot. I'll get to my page count to you guys later. I did want to just check in because I got to a part, and this is such a small detail that for some reason makes my reading experience just whole, is when an author includes depictions of food, because I'm a greedy little gnome and love food and love reading about food. And so this is set in medieval Russia, and it talks about like the different types of cakes and breads and porridges that is just like, I guess, native to that time. And I love it. It makes me hungry for oatmeal and warm cake. I don't know. Am I the only one who enjoys reading about food? Like, even if it's completely random and happenstance in a book, like if that book isn't even, it doesn't even have to be like the main focus of the book. It doesn't have to be a food book, but if it appears in a story, I'm all about it. It just makes it it's just that little detail that just really makes me excited to read a book. I don't know. I just had to share my thoughts because now I need some cake and some oatmeal. I don't know. Oh God. Okay, I'm gonna try and squeeze in a little more reading before I go to sleep, and then I'll catch up with you guys probably tomorrow to talk about my page count and thoughts on this reading rush. Yeah. What is going on, my loves? It is Monday and I wanted to go ahead and wrap up this reading rush vlog. Guys, I'm gonna be honest, I'm pretty pleased with how much I read. It was a little disjointed, and if I'm being honest, I did cheat just a tiny bit. I began my reading rush, or at least, you know, feeling like I was settled into the reading rush pretty early this week. I started Tuesday night, late Tuesday night, like 10:30, and I started reading Grady Hendrix, The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. Such a mouthful of a title, but it's such a good book. So I'm gonna include it, but to be honest, I didn't technically start reading for the official reading rush till Friday. So what I started reading on Friday was Joe Abercrombie's A Little Hatred. Now, it's no secret, if you've made it to the end of this vlog, you realize that I've put it aside for now because there is no magic, not really, in this book. It is high fantasy, but it's low fantasy in terms of how much magic there is involved. So it wasn't really like capturing my attention, not in the reading mood that I was in. So I went ahead and just did myself a favor and put it down. I am gonna try and really get through it because it is a recommendation from my boyfriend, and most of the time his book recommendations really pan out. We have very similar tastes in books, or at least what we deem is a good book. So I really want to try and finish it. My biggest thing is that, you know, the pacing was really good and the characters are really interesting, but the plot, because of the lack of magic and that it's set in sort of an industrial revolution type setting, tough for me to get into, just as the type of reader that I am, because I love fantasy and horror. So yeah. Oh, it would help if I told you how many pages I got through this. So we got, or rather I got through 139 pages, so that's cool. And then, so when I put A Little Hatred aside, I went ahead and started The Girl in the Tower. Blah, why am I having trouble with words? I started The Girl in the Tower by Catherine Arden, which is the sequel to her book, The Bear and the Nightingale. This is set in medieval Russia. It's a dark sort of fairy tale that involves frost demons and headstrong girls, and I already love it. I fell into this so much faster than A Little Hatred, and I honestly started it yesterday afternoon, and I am on page 130. So that's freaking cool. I made it through quite a bit of that book just in the afternoon. And then I did end up reading the rest of No Longer Human. So by now you've realized that I have, you know, followed 0 of the Reading Rush prompts. I did this purely for entertainment and pleasure, and you know what? It was a great freaking weekend. I loved every second of it. So this I read, let's see. Wow, I just calculated how many pages I read. So when I put this down the first time around, when I put this down the first time around, I left off on page 244. This has 610 pages. So I read 366 pages of this manga. Now, there's a lot of debate as to whether people count manga as actual books. And look at this. This is thick. If there's any argument for a manga being counted as a book, it's gonna be this one. This one had a really intense plot line, and it was really dark and depressing and serious, and there were lots of disturbing and unsettling images, and overall this dealt with sort of the existential dread of this man named Yozo Oba, who just could not contain himself, really. I might do a full book review on this. Like I said yesterday, I really haven't quite settled with this book yet. I'm still processing it, but it was good. It was something that really got under my skin. So at the very least, there's that. So let's do the grand total of this reading rush. But first, can we get some cake, please? Okay. Cake has been eaten, and I have got the grand total. If my calculations are correct, I read 635 pages this weekend, and that is phenomenal. So much reading. I really try to just immerse myself in this reading rush, and honestly, it felt like a success. You're seeing a little preview of what my finished library room looks like. I'll have that room makeover vlog up in the upcoming week. I'm still waiting on a couple things coming in the mail to really complete the room. But until then, sorry, I'm still chewing my cake. But until then, guys, I really hope you enjoyed this video. And if you did, feel free to hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you always know when I've got good things coming to you. Bye, y'all.